Welcome back to Winton Motor Raceway here for the PRL GT Sprint Series. Apologize for the slight technical difficulties. But DJ, this is one of the newer tracks here on iRacing, so hopefully the drivers have it together, because not only is it new, it's small.
It is very small and it is very technical, Joe. There's not a lot of overtaking to be done around here. You may be able to get some passes done going down into the Motorsport News S's, maybe down into Honda Corner and then the Advanced Petroleum Corner. But outside of that, you are looking at a very, very probably processional race here where you have got to minimize mistakes around this very small 1.86 mile circuit.
Indeed. And let's take a quick glance at the championships as well, starting with the drivers, with Devin Horvath still leading, and now 3 wins to his name coming into this one, as they've also got Michael Pavolano, after his finally breaking his duck, getting a win, cuts it down slightly, and it looks like we might be having a few problems showing that as well. Quick update on the team's championship, DJ?
In that team's championship, it continues to be out in front right now of YS Motorsport White, SRT Esports Blue, Lunatic Racing, and Lunatic Racing Martin Sport Racing behind them.
And then, of course, you saw the race details here for today, slightly longer than what we saw with the MX-5s at 40 minutes instead. But we also have the grid as well, and we'll show that here in just a second. This race going to be an interesting one. 83 Fahrenheit on the track surface itself, with just a little bit of wind to bother them. But another of our Australian circuits, probably not as famous as Phillip Island, but certainly going to be just as tricky, if not more tricky, than what we just witnessed. So on the pole here today, it is Drew Becker with Devin Horvath starting in second place. Michael Pavolano will be in third, and Caleb Lemon will be fourth. Miguel Fonseca starts fifth, Tommy Brisson sixth position, and then Ryan Putel seventh. Eric Dubé starts eighth, Rob Campbell ninth, and Alex Wright in 10th.
11th will be Luke Davis, followed by Ethan Tavitas with Blake Ziti and Colin McKenzie behind them. 15th place is going to be Nicholas Matthews, followed by Sean Carmody and Glenn Vanko, with Roy Brown 18th, Alan Roth 19th, and Brett Thurman rounding out your top 20.
21st will be Neil Alexander with David Morrison 22nd, Robert Gow P23. Baron Hilton is 24th, and Brian Hoskins 25th. Michael Blaze, 26th position. Jim Fitzpatrick, 27th. Ryan Luna, the last one to set a time, in 28th. And Dale Peterson is going to be gridding up at the tail end of 29 cars out there as we start on the pace lap now. And here's crossing fingers that we managed to get through this one cleanly. Even if we don't have drivers that get tangled up in each other, trying to navigate this track in itself is going to be a task.
Yeah, it certainly is, Joe. I mentioned it at the top. This is really going to be a race where you are driving against yourself, I think, more than you're driving against any of the competitors out on the circuit.
Apologies. Hope to have timing and scoring up for you here in a moment, but we've got Drew Becker now waiting patiently for the green flag, and he is away. 22 is off and already gets ahead of Horvath. Single file for the top 5 or 6 here, and they're going to need to be single file 3 wide as they come down to the Motorsport News S's. Somebody off in the background, I think that is Luke Davis, who spins his way off the track, but already they're down into Honda Corner.
Yeah, indeed, that was Luke Davis that had an off there. I think he just got pushed off down to the inside, tried to get back on track nice and safely, and clawed a little bit of curb, and that spun him around. David Morse also falling down a couple of positions in the back, but up front, Becker continues to lead from Horvath from Pavolano.
Things start to get pretty tight in here. Just back and forth here through Penwright and Kitome. Past the tree, as it's going to be mostly single file in this section, just slow corners, trying to find themselves a good exit so that they aren't vulnerable now down into Northern BM. And breaking into the left-hander, it looks like Horvath is eager to try and get this one away from Drew.
Yeah, he was, and Drew was a little bit wide there on the exit of the corner, kicked up just the tiniest bit of grass, as there they come through that final sequence of corners now, 11 and 12, bringing the cars around. Horvath really on the charge.
Falls back a little bit this time. Also, don't forget our winner from last round there, Pavolano, still hanging around in third. This is a swift chicane through here with relatively high curbs as well. So got to watch out to make sure you don't spin the car off of those. Seems like Limon has a bit of a train forming behind him. That's Fonseca, Brissol, and Proutel along with Dubé.
Indeed, and lots of different makes and models here around this circuit. Watch for those Mercedes to struggle a little bit. Understeery cars there. I'm surprised to see them that far up the charts, but they're not going to suffer from the lack of top-line speed that we've seen them suffer in the past, so it'll be a little bit interesting. Oh, looks like Colin McKenzie's had it off in the back.
Yeah, that was a self-spin coming through rollover, into rollover, really. Thankfully, he did not roll over and just kind of came to a halt, but it sent him well down the order, unfortunately. So back up to our lead. Man, Horvath and Becker are really stretching their legs out now. It's already a second and a half back to Pavolano.
Yeah, and Pavolano's got about the same distance between himself and Le Mans, so he is going to be able to run a little bit into a field unto himself. That'll be good news. Now, the other big thing that we're going to have to talk about here is the fact of lap traffic. These leaders are going to come up on them. It is a tight and narrow circuit, and it is going to be very hairy to get on by.
Yeah, they've got a ways before they get around to that, thankfully, but Becker taking that fastest lap, trying to get that bonus point under his belt after already grabbing the bonus for pole. And they switch back around. This long left-hander leading into rollover is so difficult to get right. You can see the curved braking zone, and that curb often upsets cars on top of it. Thankfully, it looks like our leaders are through there safe. Oh, you talked about the understeer. Looks like Brissol suffered from that as Proutel is going to go clear around him.
Yeah, and he's going to be able to get by in that Porsche. Good little battle here, though, between Le Mans and Fonseca. Fonseca being able to close up behind in that McLaren. He's going to have to watch out a little bit, specifically going through that long left-hander of turn 5. That is going to be off-throttle oversteer city for that McLaren, something that we know that car loves to bite on.
Yeah, the 666 is still hassling Le Mans. And out of the final two corners, onto the main straight. You really need a good exit here. One of the longest straights here on the track, if not the longest. And yeah, it looks like Caleb is going to be clear of him by the time they hit the braking once again. They got to watch out. I hope they practice the pit entry, though, because that entry into there is very, very tight and twisty and narrow.
Yeah, indeed, Joe. It's actually a lot like the pit entry that we just came from at Phillip Island, that it is just an incredibly narrow pit entry. You've really got to get your braking down for it perfectly. Very easy to put a tire off into the grass and ruin your whole race.
Fonseca here. Ooh, and there's a defensive move from Caleb. Doesn't feel completely safe and tries to cover off Miguel. He's not got any option this time through, but clearly he's gotten into his head. He's forcing him to go offline, and looks like Nicholas Matthews down in Penrite has to wait for the field to go by, and man, he's got to wait a long time. Now he can go.
Yeah, and that's going to drop him all the way down into 27th position, so Nicholas is going to have a whole lot of work to do. Back up at the front, got to give credit here to Devin Horvath. He is keeping this battle tight.
Yeah, it's still only half a second between the Ferrari and the BMW, but for now the BMW prevails. Drew Becker keeping it at half-second distance apart and getting another fastest lap on top of things.
He's trying to push here. Both of these drivers, you're getting the sense they're just waiting for a mistake to come out and waiting for that one little moment to pounce.
And as you can see, a little bit of an off there from Horvath, just dipping the wheels into the dirt. Those little mistakes are what he's hoping to get out of Drew. And this was the corner before that Nick Matthews spun out on before into Penrite. He just dipped the wheel into the dirt himself on the exit.
Yeah, and there is so much dirt and grass on the outside of this track. This is not up to what we would call FIA grade necessarily. Plenty of areas to really spin off, and it'll really punish you if you go too wide. We've already seen a couple of drivers fall afoul of that. You do not want to be one of them here today.
Ooh, and Brissol just lost another one. Eric Dubé just went by, but I think Eric might lose out as he goes very wide coming off of Northern BM corner. Rob Campbell is also involved, but looks like Tommy wasn't close enough. Now down into Advanced Petroleum corner, and suddenly the Merc has that Audi just breathing down his neck. This is a great exit for Rob.
Yeah, very, very good one. He's going to poke his nose to the inside as they cross the start-finish line. He's going to be a little bit too far behind to actually make the move, but just trying to see there if he could get Brisson offline a little bit. I like that mentality.
DJ, you were not kidding when you said that Tommy's going to be struggling with the understeer here today. He is dropped 2 from the start, whereas everybody around him has either gained or at least held position.
Yeah, I mean, that Mercedes is a great car to learn on. It is a great car to drive, but it does suffer from understeer, and that makes it a little bit more of a beginner's car. It's not nearly as prone to bite you, to come out and get you, but you can see they're just not able to take nearly as narrow of an apex. They're out of 7. Really, the car running wide at a lot of these points. He just looks like he is fighting that front end of the car to get it down.
Doing everything he can. As we had another spin in the back. This is the Porsche of Michael Blaze in the 99. He'll return in 24th. Starting to notice a theme here is we've had a lot of drivers that have spun and then had to wait for everybody to go by before they're able to rejoin. And we're already 8 minutes into this race, so they should have been a bit more spread out. But if you make a mistake, you pay dearly.
Yeah, indeed. Ooh, little bit of a late lunge there for the 72. You can see a little bit better on the brakes. Oh, Lamont, no, there's an accident.
That's Pavolano. He was slow for some reason, and Caleb went into him into the first corner. We need a replay of this. I'm baffled. Unless Michael maybe just had a slowdown penalty, or maybe Caleb was hot into the corner. This is just strange.
Let's go back and check this out. There's the contact that sends them around. It looks like Pavolano just completely missed the apex there, like he was napping or something. I don't necessarily see a slowdown here. Let's watch this.
I think Caleb missed the corner.
Yeah, I think he did too.
Just went in too hot, and that sends him down to 11th. Pavolano returns in 6th place. Fonseca inherits 3rd now, as Ryan Putel also follows through. So we see them coming down towards the penultimate turn once again. Putel's thinking about it. Fonseca once again going defensive, and he goes way too wide. He's completely off the course, and it looks like Ryan's going to try and sneak underneath, but he can't get the grip on the inside.
And that's going to give Fonseca the preferred line going down into that left-right chicane. There you can see him coming back to try to maximize speed through the corner. And they've got to be careful. Eric Dubé in that Mercedes. I've been slaking it here a little bit today, but he is running the wheels off of that thing.
Yeah, he gained those 2 positions from that incident there before. So he is, well, I guess 1 position rather. And Dubé is still in the thick of it as they fly through the long lead in to rollover corner. All of them trying to keep out of the dirt on the left-hand side so that the car does not spin out. Look at them all taking very different lines here into this section with the way it weaves back and forth, offering up different opportunities depending on where your car is strong.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the things that's really coming out here is you're seeing the advantages that each and every one of these cars just kind of poke their nose this way and that at different portions on the track. It's really setting up for a fascinating battle all the way around, Joe.
Wow, that's quite a train that's now forming behind Miguel Fonseca, who sits in 3rd. And I don't think he can even see Horvath in front of him. It's about 9.4 seconds up ahead as we watch from off the back of the 666. And that was a great exit for him. In the meantime, looks like Caleb Limon is in pit lane. He does not have a meatball flag, so I'm not sure if he had some non-required repairs or what has sent him in this early.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, this is technically within the fuel stop window, very, very early in the window, but could just be trying to get out of a little bit of traffic, maybe running some clean air.
That's a good point. And let's see, will he come out in clean air? Yes, he will. Very clean air. Nobody around him whatsoever. Up at the very front, this is Becker and Horvath. Horvath has just been sitting back there, waiting patiently, looking for an opportunity. Could he maybe be trying to save what little fuel you can on these short straights?
I mean, he certainly could be. If he's able to jump him in the pit stop, that's going to be the easiest way to get by around here. There's not a whole lot you can do to really lift and coast necessarily. There are some heavier braking zones, but it's not like you have a lot of the fast-flowing sectors where you can kind of lift off a little bit to gain some fuel that way. We're going to have to see how this strategy plays out here, Joe.
Yeah, something fishy is definitely happening here. And the 32 might be looking later down the line to really make his go at things. See if they're both tidy there coming out of Nissan. And yes, they both keep it out of the dirt. So back through the left-hander towards rollover corner and braking into pin right. Ooh, much later apex and honestly a better corner there for the 32.
Yeah, that was a really good run for Devin Horvath, and I think that comes down to a little bit of car characteristics. That Ferrari, a little bit more all around, a little bit more nimble than the BMW. The BMW tends to be a little bit understeery, not nearly as much as the Mercedes, but it tends to be favorable in a straight line. The Ferrari tends to be good all the way around, so I think that may account for a little bit of that handling coming through rollover.
Worth noting that all 28 of our starters are still out on the track, and actually they're coming up to him. Oh, that was a mistake from Becker. Horvath is on it immediately, pounces, and he is passed. So Horvath is now in the lead for the first time in this race, and he is going to reach our lap traffic first. That's Luna up in front.
Yeah, it is, and I've got to say there for Drew Becker, he didn't really put up too much of a fight. I think he actually lifted a little bit on the straightaway, so maybe he's thinking about trying to save some fuel, just stick up behind Devin Horvath here and see if he can just hold the gap, maybe jump him in the pit stops.
I think Becker knew that he had an off there. He knew that his car was into the dirt, so just maybe not interested in trying to press the issue and retain that track position. Like you said, maybe just save a little bit of that fuel to the end, or at least to the pit stop, rather. And coming out of the technical back half of the course, they fly towards Northern BM Corner. This is where the track leads off into the more modern version, where they eventually added on this little dog leg that extends it. And unbelievably, the V8 supercars actually did run that old shorter version for many, many years before this was added on. And it certainly caused things to become quite congested in that layout. But man, now that Horvath is by, look at that. He's got it up to 0.7 of a second after just a single lap.
That's the biggest lead we've seen all day, Joe, as we've got two more cars off in the back. That's Luke Davis and Michael Blaze.
In a strange corner to be off. Davis, oh, wow. Okay, Davis made a move on Michael into this turn, and it went completely awry. Again, not really a place you typically pass. I don't know if Blaze maybe went wide here.
It looked like Blaze was just trying to take a later apex there through 9 and carry some speed, and I think Davis just saw an opportunity and instinct took over and he went for it, Joe.
Well, that instinct led to a bit of a kerfluffle, and they were off the course and fallen down the order once again. Blaze already has had trouble in this race himself, so that just adds to his woes. 24 minutes left on the clock, getting close to that halfway point. Who now ducks in from there? Limon, by the way, is still in 25th, but he's starting to catch up to the first car he's got to overtake in the form of Jim Fitzpatrick. And he wants by very quickly because he knows he's going to get held up through this part of the course. Oh, no.
Yeah, this is not what Caleb wanted to see have happen on that early pit stop strategy. He is really going to have to push here and go down on that dog leg. I think that's really where he's really going to have to go. Looks like up ahead of him, I think that was Nicholas Matthews having a little bit of an off, as Ethan Tavitas is the latest to come down pit lane along with Brett Thurman.
Okay, so we got a couple takers that don't like running in a pack, think that they could get some track position. These GT3 cars are often kind of considered the fastest that you really want at this track. Any faster than this, it gets ridiculous. Of course, the supercars, oh no! And once again, down into the first corner, a wild dive, this time from Colin McKenzie. Who was that he shoved out of the way? That was Gao.
Yeah, that was a bit of a late dive there for McKenzie. Definitely may have a little looked at by the stewards at the end of the race, but as of now, McKenzie up a position.
Some very ambitious moves into the Motorsport News S's. I honestly didn't think we'd be quite seeing that here. And twice now, drivers have suddenly had to get their elbows out into that turn as we look a little bit farther forward to Pavolano and Brisson. Pavolano was the other one that got shoved off earlier, if you're just joining us. And this time he's making darn sure that he gets a good exit off of the final turn across the start-finish line so that he's not under attack from Tommy.
Yeah, exactly. Just trying to build that gap a little bit in that Mercedes sandwich. And I've got to give credit here to Dubé and to Brisson. They are making this Mercedes work around this track.
Oh, worth noting that Tavetas came out behind Limon after that pit stop. But now Limon is caught up to Nick Matthews as well. And we got a car in. McKenzie is taking his pit stop. No black flag that I'm seeing, so this must be a scheduled stop for him.
Yeah, I mean, once again, we are in that window. We are coming into halfway. Now, not entirely sure how long they're going to be able to run it. I would anticipate the longest people are going to be able to go, probably about 15 to 12 minutes left to go is when we're going to see drivers coming in on those fuel tanks empty, but we'll have to see a little bit of a different circuit than what we're used to running.
Indeed, this is such a club-style circuit, but they do allow cars of this level here to compete on it in the real world. So that's why we're seeing these GT3s out here right now, trying to see how well they can do. And it's only about a minute 18 lap around here. It is very quick to circulate. So as we ride on board with Pavolano, do my ears deceive me, or is he lifting and coasting a little bit into some of these corners?
I think he's lifting and coasting a little bit. I think after falling down 3 positions, he is definitely trying to maybe save some fuel, extend this cycle as much as possible. So that could be as a result of all of that happened. He's just taking an alternate strategy now.
Oh no, Limon went for another pass, and for the second time this race, it sent him off the course. A spin down to the inside of Northern BM corner. He's back out, but he's down in 24th place. Not sure if we can get the replay up here. That's Luke Davis that's in behind him currently. But Limon was the highest driver to have pitted before this, and now he's gone to the last drivers to have pitted after that spin. Here's the replay of the incident.
All right, so this is Limon going for that move. Oh, just pinched off there and spent around. Oh, heartbreak there for the 42.
Man, frustrating day. It looked like you had a good idea about trying to get some positions back with that early pit stop, but it all kind of, unfolded on him. And Thurman was the one that you just saw trying to overtake on Blaze. That is for position, but Blaze is not pitted. Thurman has.
All right, so this is where you get into some of that sketchy territory with drivers who have come into the pits who need to get on by, and drivers who are under no obligation to give them room, as we have the 00 coming down pit lane. That's Baron Hilton.
Looking for his pit stall. I'm kind of wondering if Pavolano is saving, or how certain are we about that 15-minute mark for the end of the pit window? Because there's so many corners like this, like we've got here in this section. I wonder, with it being such a short course, if the drivers are trying to no-stop it.
There's a chance, Joe. I mean, those numbers are just based on quick math that I was able to do based off of previous circuits. There certainly is a chance that they could no-stop it. I doubt it. The last time we saw that work, I believe, was at the Hungaroring 3 or 4 seasons ago, where some drivers were able to do some surprise no-stopping. Now, the one catch here is if you're going to do that, you have to be committed to it from the beginning, and I'm not sure that Pavolano was lifting and coasting right from the outset.
We'll have to keep an eye on it, because it does kind of raise my eyebrows. Don't need to go to it. Alan Roth had an off a little bit earlier and dropped multiple positions. That was out of Nissan corner that he had that happen. My goodness, we have a whole bunch of cars nose to tail. Somebody is in. That's the 21. That's David Morse. But Thurman, Limon, Blaze, and Davis are swapping positions. Well, and now, of course, as soon as I mention them, they've all spread apart. But they were literally almost pushing each other through corners for a moment.
I mean, it is remarkable how close these drivers are having to run to one another to be able to get anything to go here. It's very, very, very tight. I didn't expect necessarily this close quarters combat necessarily as they continue to run.
Well, I mean, there's only so much track out there, and at this stage, there is a lot of them that are kind of clumped together in a group. Now, when the leaders catch up to that, that's going to be interesting as well, because there's a good potential that they could wind up catching them at the pace that they're running. They're 15 seconds ahead of any other car out on the track. Just stunning laps from Horvath and Becker. But down into the back half of the course here once again, Thurman leading Limon, leading Davis. Only one of this group that is not pitted is Luke Davis in that 72.
Yeah, Davis had a little bit of an off there, kicking up some dirt onto the inside of the tree, able to recover it and not make too much of a problem, but he has got to be careful. You got to limit those mistakes.
I see Neil Alexander into pit lane, so 76 taking out his service at 17 minutes to go. Still seeing a lot of drivers out rolling, and it's well over half the fields. With 16 minutes left, 17 minutes left, that I guess in about a minute's time, we'll start to get a better sense of what is in store for us in terms of pit strategy. Blaze finally pits in after what has been a tumultuous day for that orange and green Porsche. And coming on to the run towards Advanced Petroleum corner, this is Dubé ahead of Pablano still. Neither of them pit in.
No, neither of them pit in, and up ahead of them, that is Ryan Patel, and Patel's been able to grow a gap of about 1.7 seconds, so this is really turning into a two-horse race here, because also behind them, remember, we had mentioned earlier that Pablano was running that Mercedes sandwich. Brisson has fallen off to the tune of about a second, so they're starting to get their own little island built up here.
Speaking of an island, Horvath is ahead of Becker by 2.5 seconds now. When did that happen? Was there a bad lap from Becker? Is that just snuck up on us?
It's been slowly but surely pulling away, Joe. I'm looking at the time comparisons here. Horvath has been able to pull away on average by about a tenth and a half, call it 0.2. There you can see it on the bottom of your screen. He's just slowly but surely eking away. Interesting.
Okay. So Becker, well, that makes him giving up that lead all the more strange, because he probably should have fought Horvath. The way that he was holding him off seemed like he had the advantage. David Morse is in, as you can see on screen, and Michael Blaze has been sitting in there for some time. Morse has a black flag, though, but he's taking service anyways.
I'm not sure what that is. Obviously, if you pick up a black flag like that, you're normally mandatory for a drive-through penalty. Maybe that was a pit lane speeding penalty on the way in, potentially?
Baron Hilton just had an off. Don't need to go to it, but there you can see. Oh, and that does hold up Drew Becker quite a bit. And man, the lap traffic luck is not with the 22 today. He loses another couple tenths with that one. So things have just been kind of stacking up, and it's slipping through his fingers, allowing Horvath to potentially take a fourth win.
I mean, that it's going to be a pretty dominant stamp on the field there for Devin Horvath. He's able to do that. Remember, a 21-point lead right now over Michael Pablano, and with Pablano being farther down in the field, that is only going to increase massively if, knock on wood, if you're a fan of Devin Horvath, this race continues on as is.
Yeah, both of the leaders go by the pit entry, so they're not coming in this time. With under 15 minutes to go, Fonseca's heading to the entry, and he goes by. So does Putel, Dubé, Pavolano, Brisson, Campbell. Ooh, change of position behind them. That is right over Ziti. And they've also got Carmody and Brown hanging on to them. It's been a good race for Roy Brown. He's up 6 positions. He was up 7 at one point. Was the hardest charger for a stage of this race. See if he can get that back. Right now, Brian Hoskins has the most gained, up 10 from 25th.
Ooh, and look there on the front of that Audi there for Blake Ziti. There's some pretty heavy front nose damage. I wouldn't be surprised if that's affecting a little bit of his aerodynamics. Definitely the turn in a little bit more, as that does not look healthy.
Somehow Rob Campbell has turned his Audi to an Itty, and he's going to have a hard time with straight line speed. Thankfully, not as big of a concern here today, and it looks very mangled the closer he gets to that purple Ferrari there. And coming off of the infield section, if you want to call it that, he's just sizing him up. Alex Wright doesn't fend off the inside, isn't phased. Oh, but that's a bad exit coming off of the third to last corner. That's going to open the door for Blake Ziti. And Ziti almost manages it, but has to give way. And behind them, Carmody. Oh, and contacts off the final turn. And just sneaking by, there goes Roy Brown with more positions gained.
Roy Brown just doing a good job of keeping his red and white nose clean there and able to go there. You see Ziti able to recover. He's going to come around in 11th, it looks like. Brown, as you said, promoted up. He is having a good run, up 9 now.
Vanko has also pitted in the 29. That's the teammate there of the car you see on screen, and Team Beef. Brian Hoskins is our highest driver to have pitted currently. He's in 13th in the 520. No, excuse me, it's not Hoskins. It's Carmody behind him in the 40, rather.
Yeah, it is. So there he is running around. That is that number 40 machine. Up 2 on the day for that Lamborghini. Trying to put it through its paces here. He's got directly up ahead of him. That's Brian Hoskins. Interested to see if Hoskins peels off here or if he's going to have to fight him.
This is unbelievable. Drew Becker just had another bit of slow lap traffic that spun in front of him, and he had to go off the track to avoid him, losing yet more time. It's up to 4.7 seconds. The racing gods do not smile upon Drew today here in Australia.
No, they really, really do not. It is not looking good there for him. Also hearing reports that the 29, that's Glenn Vanko, has received a black flag. I'm assuming that's for incident limits.
Either incident limits or he was just in a pit lane. He could have been speeding on his way out. No, doesn't look like that. Did he exit too soon? He may have crossed over the line he wasn't supposed to. I think he may have gone an unsafe pit exit.
That can come back to bite you there a little bit as we focus in on 17th place right now. Glenn Vanko there, the 29.
And he heads right back into pit lane. We've got the replay. Now watch the yellow line here. I think you are supposed to stay to the left of that. I'm not 100% certain on this, but if I had to wager a guess, watch. Yeah, crosses completely over it there on the last little bit, and that might be what did him in.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Joe. I think that's probably what tripped him up. Still not seeing any signs here out of these leaders of pitting. We're under 10 minutes to go. My prediction proving false.
Carmody's still leading those who have pitted. He's in 13th now. And let's see, where is the drivers coming into there? Luna just announced that he's pitting out, or no, somebody else, excuse me. Luna was just off. Didn't quite catch who that was on the radio. So we watch the 40 car carrying on. And Roy Brown now pitting in himself in the 313 up to the back of his teammates, who has still not left the pit lane. Vanko finally out after serving his penalty.
Indeed, Roy Brown looks like he's diving down pit lane. Vanko serving that penalty, as you said. Waiting here to see if we're going to see any of the leaders coming around. I've got my eye on Devin Horvath right now. Now, he will be the first to be able to cross over. There is Becker on your screen. Horvath stays out.
Does Becker go in maybe? Yes, Becker is in. So he pits. It's a long ways to Fonseca, and there's a good example. You can see just how slow they have to be coming down into this pit entry. And they do have those cones rather late, so they can try and force the issue and speed up into them, but then of course you risk getting that speeding penalty if you don't brake in time. Requires some practice, no doubt. Poutel is going to be the next one that pits in. I see Brisson pitting as well. So a few of the higher ups are finally taking some fuel with about 8 minutes to go. I do suspect that we have a few drivers that might be trying to go long.
Yeah, I think you're right, Joe. With as late as we're seeing these pit stops fire off, Pavolano in particular is the one that I'm going to be keeping my eye on to see how he's able to make that work.
And we saw Becker getting back out on track in traffic. Fitzpatrick was there, and once again biting Drew. As he thankfully he got by. It wasn't any serious dramas, but it just slowed him up down into Honda corner. And just guy can't catch a break today, and somebody else is in. Who is this?
Looks like that's Robert Go.
Yep. He is down and towards the stall. Horvath is pitting. Horvath is finally pitting. Now the gap was large enough. If it's a standard stop, he should be okay. That's hoping that he doesn't have any sort of issues here.
All right, we'll have to see. Becker was able to come in and out with a 7.3. Let's see what Horvath and his YS Motorsports Ferrari team can do.
Taking fuel right now. Becker's still coming up towards Advanced Petroleum corner. Horvath is done. 6.6 seconds, much quicker than Drew Becker. And he is back out on the road. However, he's behind cars who have not pitted, including Pavolano and Dubé.
All right, so here comes that fuel-saving battle. I have been riding on board with Michael Pavolano. He is doing a whole lot of lifting and coasting around here, really trying to save as much fuel as possible.
Rob Campbell has pitted in, so he can't make it to the finish. The only ones still needing to stop are Fonseca, Dubé, Pavolano, Ziti, and Roth. Roth at his spin. That's not going to help his fuel saving. No doubt, as we ride on board with Michael, hearing the car just kind of breathe on its way into corners. Horvath should probably, theoretically, then have a pretty easy time overtaking him.
I would think so, but this is a tricky circuit to overtake on, and if I'm Devin Horvath, I'm not going to be taking a low percentage mood. I really want to be able to get one where I know I can get it done. It's very close here as they come on this sort of back straightaway. Is he going to try to go around the outside?
He is, and there's a little bit of contact. They managed to make it through. Brisson has to pit in. He can't make it. Miguel Fonseca is in. And to remember, Horvath has the lead over Becker, who was chasing him, so he's safe on that. In fact, that is the overall lead now that Horvath has back. So Pavolano in second without a pit stop. Becker promoted to third, having taken a pit stop. Where is Fonseca and Dubé going to fan out? Blake Ziti is in. Alan Roth still needs to stop.
All right, so waiting to see who all is going to be able to do this. Yeah, it's only Pavolano and Roth here that have not been able to come, that have not come down pit lane quite yet. So we've got to see where this shakes down. Only 5 minutes to go.
If this works out for Alan Roth and that spin doesn't hurt him too badly, he is up 15 positions right now. And if that's without a pit stop, that's legitimate. So that's going to be a big cross your fingers moment for the 12, hoping that he didn't waste too much fuel trying to get the car going after he exited the track and got turned around. But it looks like for the time being, this is Horvath's race to lose.
Yeah, I think that's right, Joe. Pavolano staying out again here, so he continues to go around. Oh, we've got the 93 around. That's Rob Campbell.
Oh, and he exits out. And he didn't have a black flag there. That's strange. He just spun it on his own. He didn't hit anything. It looks like he just... Oh, he must have had an internet connection problem because he disappeared while still moving. And he would definitely have a DQ flag next to his name if he didn't make it. It looks like Roth is in. Roth pits. And then there was one. Pabalano, the last remaining driver to try and make it to the finish.
Yeah, he's got about 3.5 minutes left to go, continuing to ride on board with him. Now, the one thing that's going to be a little bit interesting here is he does have some damage on the front of that car, so that's going to hurt his overall speed. Now, he's got plenty of time to Drew Becker back behind him. He's got about 6 seconds or so he's got room to breathe that throttle plenty in that 101.
This is going to be decisive here, these next few laps going by. Let's watch and see. Does he pit in this time? No, he carries on. Horvath is actually still in front of him, so he's holding pretty good pace. He was passed a number of laps ago, and he's still within 2 seconds. So he's running a similar pace to what Drew Becker was while fuel saving. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Horvath here is pulling a gap a little bit, and part of that was that Horvath set the fastest lap of the race 2 laps ago on lap 27, but he's only losing about a couple of tenths of a second here and there, and look at that between Becker and Pabalano. Absolutely incredible.
Just got confirmation that Rob Campbell lost internet connection, so, yep, he, unfortunately, in the middle of his spin, decided, his internet decided that's enough racing for you, so... As we watch our third-place driver, Becker, hopefully catch up to Pabalano. He's going to be frustrated knowing that he got beat by a car that managed to no-stop this race for a second-place finish. Amazing stuff from this 101 if you can pull this off. But it's going to be 2 laps to go this time by for Devin Horvath. So does Pabalano have enough fuel?
By pit lane, he stays out again. I think he thinks he's got enough, Joe.
He's going to get one more chance, so this is not complete commitment yet. They'll get to go one more time by, and if he stays out from there, it's do or die. Either he finishes the race or he sputters to a halt.
Yeah, exactly, and I love that kind of commitment out of Pabalano. Back further in the field, that is the 76 McLaren of Neil Alexander. Nicholas Matthews started to close in behind him.
Good battle in the mid-pack, yeah. This is the black car from Matthews, the orange and black for Neil Alexander. Oh, and what happened to the 40? That is Carmody.
Looks like he may have just caught a little bit of curbing there coming out of those final sequence of corners and just spun the car around.
Yeah, all on his own, unfortunately. So Pabalano, this is it. Down Shannon straight, 2 more corners, and he'll have to decide, do I go for it or do I pit? Just sliding it out. He's trying to carry as much speed as he can through those corners, just lifting and coasting through them. As Horvath goes by the pit entry and Pabalano goes by the pit entry. This is it. It's all or nothing.
Indeed it is, and a big gaggle of lap traffic up in front of him. That would actually really slowed down Devin Horvath a lot. That gap's down to about a second. I don't think Pabalano's going to be able to close it, but still.
If anything, this is not good for Michael because he doesn't want to be held up, and that's the battle for position that we were watching before. Matthews and Alexander. Alexander having to go defensive, and oh no, this is the last thing that Pabalano wants. This could hurt his fuel consumption potentially. Around the outside, longer distance, just adding to the inches this car has to crawl to get to the end. It's down to 3.8 seconds ahead of Becker now.
Yes, it is now trying to get down to the inside there of Alexander. He's going to have to go the long way around the tree. That is not going to help him.
He'll have the inside, so it'll finally switch back in his favor. That's a little bit bad for Alexander. No, he's going to be able to hold off. And Matthews and he can continue their fight. Oh, and he's going to send it in deep, and he's going to spin him around as Nicholas Matthews is going to take that spot in contentious circumstances. Horvath, in the meantime, 1 more corner to go. 3 wins already this season. Let's make it a 4th. As here in Australia, the 32 takes the win at Winton.
And I'm listening to Pabalano. He just sputtered at the line. He timed that perfectly.
Unbelievable. Becker is probably just dumbfounded as to how the 101 managed that. He finished in 3rd Still a podium for him. How about Miguel Fonseca? Nice run today. He may have been a little bit of a distance off the top runners, but fourth place for him. And looking for those behind them. Roy Brown still up a bunch. In fact, no, he's not the hardest charger. He's up 9. Brian Hoskins is the hard charger at up 10. And we had 16 cars finish on the lead lap today. There you can see Brown crossing the line now in that Team Beef car.
Yeah, indeed. A large chunk of the field, the lap down, as you said, just waiting for the last couple of finishers here to cross over. Joe, this was a tight circuit. This was a twisty circuit, but man, did it produce some good action.
I enjoyed it. I hope we see it some more here on PRL in the future. But in the meantime, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really going to reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every question there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Welcome back to Winton Motor Raceway. We just watched round 7 in the PRL GT3 Sprint Series, and Devin Horvath took another victory after starting from second. Eventually, he found a way to force a slip-up out of Drew Becker past him, and other than having to overtake the non-pitting Pablano, led most of the way. Second place for Pablano without a stop for fuel, which some of the drivers are a little bit confused by, not realizing that you could do that, and thought that they were required to stop for fuel. Drew Becker wound up third after starting from pole, though. Miguel Fonseca was fourth, as Ryan Putel was fifth, and Tommy Brisson wound up exactly where he started, in sixth spot. Eric Dubé was seventh. It's Tavitas P8, and then Roy Brown up 9 spots for ninth. Caleb Limon, with quite a few adventures, settled into 10th.
Blake Ziti was able to come home 11th, followed by Alan Roth with Alex Wright and Brett Thurman behind them. Brian Hoskins came home 15th, followed by Barron Hilton, the last driver on the lead lap. Nicholas Matthews, Luke Davis, Robert Goh, and Jim Fitzpatrick all finished a lap down.
Glenn Vanco wound up 21st after he had an extra stop down pit lane. Alexander was 22nd, then it's David Morse 23rd. Sean Carmody, P24, 2 laps down, with Ryan Luna 3 laps down in 25th. Colin McKenzie, 26th position, and then DNFs for the 3 beyond that. And I do believe that we have our winner ready to talk to us, Devin Horvath, who had to eventually overtake on Michael Pavolano. Devin, were you a bit surprised to see Michael in front of you and having to make a pass on him?
No, not necessarily, because I had Sean helping me today, and he figured that he might try to go for the no pit strategy. So I was a bit surprised to see him in front of me, because I thought we'd have enough gap and I'd have enough pace on him that he would still be behind me. But
well, it wound up that you still managed to beat him. We were also a bit surprised, though. Once you passed him, it seemed like he was able to keep up with you. Were you managing things after you went by him, or was he legitimately kind of hounding you?
No, I think the lap after, or 2 laps after I passed him, I actually set the fastest lap. And then, yeah, the last probably 3-4 laps, I was just coasting, trying to make it through. Plus, I had a couple lappers in front of me, and I didn't want to do anything stupid. So I was just taking my time, knowing I had enough space there for, a couple laps left.
That makes sense. So there was some discussion I saw amongst the drivers on whether or not GT3 should really be racing here. How do you feel now that we've had an event?
I like these little tracks. Usually because I usually do pretty good at them. Knock Hill we had last year in the GT3, and once again, a lot of the drivers didn't think we should be racing there, but I actually thought it was a pretty fun race, and it was a challenging track. And it was kind of the same thing with this one. It was challenging. You had to be on top of your A game the whole time. You didn't have a lot of time to rest, and it worked out good. So,
well, congratulations on the win, and hopefully we'll get to see you when we come back next week at Oulton Park.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Devin Horvath in the 32. Up next, DJ has caught up with the man with the twinkle toes here today, Michael Pavolano, who finished second without a pit stop.
Michael, first things first, how did you do that on a no-stopper?
Lots of practice, DJ. I practiced a lot this week, did a lot of official races, actually did fairly well. So I was confident I was going to make it at the end, because I've done it so many times. I guess it was a case of a what if scenarios for me. What if I didn't have that situation with Caleb in the beginning? What if, because I had the pace at the end. I really was going to push it hard because I had something left in there, but then we had the lap traffic, and finished second. Still happy with that.
Well, I was going to say, how close was that on it with the lap traffic? It seemed like there at the end that I think you started to sputter right as you crossed the line. When you came on that lap traffic, were you a little bit worried that you were going to lose it out?
You know what? I had about 0.3 of a liter left at the end of the race. I knew I was going to get it, but it's just unfortunate that I knew that they were racing as well, but I thought I was going to catch up to Devin, but it was close. I knew I was going to make it still, but I didn't realize that they were racing me as well towards some of the corners there. So,
well, and I have to ask you the same question that we asked Devin there. How do you like the little short tracks like this? Are they favorites of yours, or would you like to see us go back to more of the GP style circuits?
Actually, I like this. It gives us a little bit of variety. It gives a little bit of a strategy. So it's not all about pace. It gives you some maneuver to play around with the setup and to play around with the pit stop strategy. So I like it. It's just a lot more technical, so you have to spend a little bit more time, find the rhythm. But I'm good with it.
Well, fantastic, Michael. This was one of the most impressive drives I've seen you put in. Is there anybody you would like to thank for today?
Thanks, DJ. So, you guys, for the great broadcast, my family, for always, giving me the support that I need, and spend time doing this. PRL for a great league. And actually, I've been meaning to thank our sponsors, in particular ASR. I have all their rigs. Great company, great products that they provide, and great equipment, and truly appreciate the sponsorship that they provide the league. And also one last thing, a shout out to Ryan Luna, my teammate there. I think he was able to do it without pitting as well, so good for him on that.
Well, thank you so much, Michael, and congratulations again on a second place.
Thanks, DJ.
That's going to close us out for this evening. So we want to give a big thank you to our sponsors, which of course includes ASR. They design and build the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com. And RaceLab, it helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it now for free at RaceLab.app. As well as ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebuttkicker.com. And NinjaTrader. Visit NinjaTrader.com and get started with a risk-free trading simulator to start tracking your performance. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more awesome work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store. It's gsrc.storenvy.com. We keep a link in the description below for that. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment, because the MX-5s will be at Brands Hatch and then the GT3s will be at Oulton Park. So we go from Australia to a British day. That'll be Monday, May 9th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.